And now, stand-up community subscribers and listeners from around the globe, it's time to Stand Up with Pete Dominic, where we ask the important questions that impact you, your family, and your community. Such as, will school basketball player Cousin Fred be proud of the fact that team sports in the Olympics is a thing? And will my spouse still love me despite not doing the dishes? And also, my raging alcoholism. And now, the podcast host who travels 300 miles for the right strain of sativa, Pete Dominic.
Yes, you know me so well, sir. Thank you very much. And yeah, I will be traveling further than that on Monday. I'll be heading to Massachusetts. I will probably stop and pick up some gummies or something. I'll be in Massachusetts. I'll be in Boston with JL Club. And Monday, the 26th, we'll be doing the comedy at City Winery in Boston Monday, the 26th. And looking forward to that. Welcome to episode 396 of Stand Up. Hello there, my friends and my fringe. Welcome to the show. This is the 396th episode of Stand Up. Very excited that Wajahat Ali is back on the show. It's been far too long since I invited him on, and I'll tell you why I didn't invite him on coming up. Because I hadn't. Well, you'll have to wait. It was on me. You'll hear it. He's joining me. Always great when he joins me. One of your all-time favorites. Also, a little bonus content, because while I was putting the show together last night, my dad called. So I just hit record, and I recorded our conversation. I told him I was recording it, so he hammed it up a little bit more, I think. But I asked him about some of the day's news and how he handles people in his life that haven't gotten vaccinated. And as always, it's a fun, interesting conversation. We also argued about whether or not someone should be allowed to have $1 billion. I don't think that any person should be allowed to have $1 billion. And if you disagree, then I say fight me. Meet me at the big tree and fight me. Because, yeah, I just think it's disgusting to have that much wealth concentrated. We can debate, and reasonable people could disagree, but about how much wealth one person or one family should be able to accrue. They certainly aren't earning it. They certainly aren't earning it. That to me is even more preposterous. Oh, he earned it. Really? Did he? Did she? I don't know. We could talk about that sometime. Maybe Thursday night at the Hangout, huh? Maybe that'll be a subject. Should you be allowed to have $1 billion? But if you do, you can fly way up in the sky, because it's one small step for billionaire, one giant leap for billionaire kind when Amazon and Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, I think, flew with some of his friends on a dick-shaped rocket. I said to Ava, who is home from camp because she's sick, and hopefully I'll be able to take her back. More on that later. I said, Ava, did you hear that Jeff Bezos flew into space? Well, space is in quotes. In a dick-shaped rocket. Did you see a picture of the rocket? And she goes, no, I didn't hear, because I was at camp with no news or screens, of course. And so I showed her a picture of the rocket, and she just goes, huh, I thought it would have had more balls. Yeah, that's my girl. So she's got a bit of a fever, but she's vaccinated. We think it's just hopefully a virus of some sort, and can bring her back up to camp. Drove 3 hours up, 3 hours back yesterday, not before I found a nail in my tire. Had to go get that plugged, but I did not let it get me down. I had one of our favorite listener, Vicky, down in Atlanta. I had her voice in my head saying, stay gold, pony boy, stay gold. And I did. I stayed gold, staying positive for Ava, for Val, for Julia, and as much as I can for you here along the ride. Thank you for being on it with me. Yesterday also I tweeted that I just wanted to do like some self-promotion, a little bit more bragging about what I'm doing here. And so I just was like, screw it, I'm just going to tweet this. Each weekday I post a new episode of Stand Up Pete Dominic. Most have two brilliant guests and a comprehensive 20 to 30-minute news segment. I book, host, edit, and produce the whole thing from my shed. It's as good as any daily news podcast from any major media company. And I tweeted that And thanks for all the love on it, man. A lot of really nice things said about it from a lot of regular guests. And also superstar actress Jane Lynch, who has like 2 million followers, shared it and said, every word of this is true. Listen and subscribe. Thank you, Jane Lynch. That is awesome. Really meant a lot. Made my day. Go write a review on Apple Podcasts of the show. That is super important and help me promote it. Thank you for supporting it with a paid subscription, because I can't do it without you. I've got some new sponsors that you're going to hear me rolling out here, but that's just to invest in the show. I mean, we got a long way to go before I can really feel, I think, comfortable here. But we're getting there, and I can't do it without your support. So spread the word and sign up now for a paid subscription if you haven't already at patreon.com/Pete Dominic. All right, Wajahat Ali coming up. A little bonus chat with Chisel D, my pop. But before that, we've got to get to lots of news yesterday. So much to talk about outside of just billionaires in space. So let's talk about everything that happened yesterday and more. It's time for the last 24. All right, I just want to start with this tweet. I don't know who this person is on Twitter, Molly. She goes by, and she is responding to the CBS Evening News, who opened their broadcast with a 5-minute story on the Jeff Bezos, rocket dick flight. And she writes, respectfully, why did tonight's news lead with a 5-minute story on a billionaire's 10-minute flight when there's over 1 million acres of wildfires in West and smoke visible in New York City? What's more urgent to your viewers? And I just love that. I just thought that was a really important tweet. I'm glad that I saw that. I couldn't agree more. Here in New York State, there's a haze, and the sun looks weird, and that's what it's like for all of you who are used to this, but we're not, and that's because of the fires. This haze came all the way across the country. So, yeah, that would seem like a pretty important story, not to mention these wildfires that are ravaging the American West. Yeah, here it is. ABC News. Much of the U.S. under ominous hazy sky as smoke spreads from the western wildfires. At least 40 million Americans are experiencing poor air quality. And so, yeah, that would seem like the most important story in America today. That's got my vote. The other really important news story developing, of course, this week is COVID. It's not going anywhere, not only here, but across the country. I've been listening and reading a lot about how, of course, we're affected here and how other countries are affected as well, and how fast or how far vaccination rates have gone, or how low the vaccination rates are in so many foreign nations. Nearly 120,000 U.S. kids have lost their primary caregiver to COVID, according to CDC data, increasing pressure on CDC to revisit guidance on masks in schools. The Delta variant is now making up 83% of cases, according to the CDC. And I'll talk more about COVID and everything else with both Wajahat Ali and my dad, who told me several members of my family I did not know were not getting vaccinated, which was surprising and disappointing. But I think the clip that went most viral yesterday was when Rand Paul tangled again with Dr. Anthony Fauci. Senator Paul, Dr. Fauci, they have been tangling for a long time, and it's really worth listening to, especially after when Senator Tina Smith of Wisconsin gave him some more of her time to respond and drill Senator Paul even more. This went viral for a reason. Listen to this.
That only occur in animals, and they increase their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic.
And let's let Dr. Fauci.
I have to. Well, now you're getting into something. If the point that you are making is that the grant that was funded as a sub-award from EcoHealth to Wuhan created SARS-CoV-2. That's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
If it did
I
come
can-
from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
I totally
This committee
resent,
will allow the witness to respond.
I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator, because if you look at the viruses that were used in the experiments, that were given in the annual reports, that were published in the literature, it is molecularly impossible.
No one's saying those viruses caused it.
It
No
is
one is alleging that
molecularly.
those viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That is
you can't
not.
get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
I'm not obfuscating the truth.
Senator
You're the
Paul's
one.
time is expired, but I will allow the witness to.
Let me just finish. I want everyone to understand that if you look at those viruses, and that's judged by qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists, those viruses are molecularly impossible
No one's
to
saying
result
they are. No
in
one's saying those viruses
SARS-CoV-2.
caused the pandemic.
Senator Paul,
We're saying they are gain-of-function viruses because they were
They're not.
animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you funded it.
And you
admit the truth.
And you
Senator
implying.
Paul, your time has expired, and I will allow witnesses who come before this committee to respond.
And you are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individual. I totally resent
could
that.
have
And
been.
if anybody
And it could
is
have been.
lying here, Senator, it is you.
Senator Smith.
Thank you, Dr. Fauci. And thanks to all of our panelists for being here today. And thank you, Chair Murray and Ranking Member Burr. I just want to say, Dr. Fauci, is there anything more that you would like to say to counteract these attacks on your integrity that we've all just witnessed?
Well, Senator, thank you. I don't think I have anything further to say. This is a pattern that Senator Paul has been doing now at multiple hearings based on no reality. He keeps talking about gain of function. This has been evaluated multiple times by qualified people to not fall under the gain of function definition. I have not lied before Congress. I have never lied, certainly not before Congress. Case closed.
Oh, my goodness gracious. What an amazing moment yesterday in Capitol Hill in Washington. People have been wondering, well, I don't know about people. I know I've been wondering if at some point Dr. Fauci was going to really lash out and get a little bit more emotional at people who are accusing him of being responsible for COVID. And there you have it. So interesting reaction. Also, Mitch McConnell. I mean, we could talk about that for the rest of the time, by the way. That was crazy. Mitch McConnell, who, of course, is a survivor of polio, getting a little more emotional than normal, coming out of the shell just a bit more about getting the vaccine and giving yet another endorsement to the miracle that are vaccines.
Good afternoon, everyone. You've seen the statistics. 97% of the hospitalizations in the country for COVID are unvaccinated people. It never occurred to me after 3 highly effective vaccines were developed in under a year that we'd have difficulty getting Americans to take the shots. But that's obviously where we are. I want to underscore in the strongest possible manner I can, and I say this with some authority, as you all know, as a result of being a polio victim myself and being very aware that it took 7 decades to come up with 2 effective polio vaccines. This was done in under 1 year. These shots need to get in everybody's arm as rapidly as possible, or we're going to be back in a situation in the fall that we don't yearn for, that we went through last year.
Wow, it almost sounded like Senator McConnell actually cares about people for a moment there. He had me fooled, but he's been consistent on being pro-vaccine as far as I know. So there's that. I also just saw this on Twitter that in one poll, nearly 3 in 4 support reinstating mask mandates if COVID-19 cases rise. Not sure about that polling or the question or what the threshold would need to be, but I was kind of surprised by that statistic. Another quick COVID headline, another study suggesting that Johnson & Johnson vaccine is less effective against some of the coronavirus variants. So if you got that vaccine, stay on top of that story. I'm sure, hopefully you're getting notifications. Well, even if you don't like Tom Brady, a lot of people did enjoy the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Tom Brady's visit to the White House yesterday. And because there was some shade thrown at the last guy, who Tom Brady was said to be friendly with, Donald Trump, over the years. And Trump was certainly a fan of Tom Brady's, but I think that bromance may have ended as a result of this exchange at the White House yesterday.
Group of men. It didn't look great there. At one point, we were 7-5, struggling a little bit, as the president alluded to. But we found our rhythm. We got on a roll. Not a lot of people, think that we could have won. And in fact, I think about 40% of the people still don't think we won.
I understand that.
You understand that, Mr. President?
I understand that.
Yeah. And personally, it's nice for me to be back here. We had a game in Chicago where I forgot what down it was. I lost track of one down in 21 years of playing. And they started calling me Sleepy Tom. Why would they do that to me?
I like that. I don't know. I'm weird. I like Tom Brady. I don't pay that close attention to football or that cheating scandal or anything. I've always kind of liked him. He seems like a likable guy to me. Sorry if you hate Tom Brady. Please don't cancel your subscription. I like him. I also find him extremely attractive. I'm not going to lie. Did that just make it worse? All right, moving on. I did just want to mention this other story, which I found interesting. I mentioned earlier, I don't think anybody should have $1 billion. My friend Paul Rykoff on Twitter asked me what else I think, Mr. Stalin. Fine. And would that be hard to enforce? Yeah, but I'm just saying, morally, I don't think any one person should have that kind of wealth concentration. But that person who's getting a lot of attention right now, Jeff Bezos, because he flew into the sky with a cowboy hat on and a giant dick rocket, also yesterday awarded two great men who are widely respected, Jose Andres and Van Jones. Although I know Van Jones has a lot of haters, but he's been a personal friend of mine for a number of years. So when I saw that Bezos gave these two guys $100 million to basically donate however they wanted to nonprofits, to charities, listen, I think they're great guys. But the idea that you would give this money away to put towards any charity or nonprofit of their choice, Bezos introducing the initiative dubbed the Courage and Civility Award. I've got a lot of problems with that. I'm not going to go into it. I'll talk about it with you or with the wider group or with guests, but I've got a lot of problems with that, even though I also have a lot of respect and know Van personally very well. So, I don't know. That got a lot of attention yesterday, too. I wanted to mention that. And that is all the audio clips I've got for you. Wait, what's this?
Now it's crazy time.
Oh, yeah, I got some crazy time clips for you. Here is Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, the queen of Crazy Time, Crazy Town, whatever you want to call it. She held a press conference to discuss her ban from Twitter. This is the reality show that American politics has become to some extent. And there's just too many wild and ridiculous things that she said to play. But she created a lot of outrage and probably raised a lot of money as well with some of these comments that she made. But, I mean, real dumb stuff. Very dumb. Just real quick, you got to hear this.
Imagine this. Not too long ago, I was sued by a communist PAC for banning them from my page because of the horrible, nasty things they were saying to me on my Twitter page. And they sued me because you want to know what they said? They said that they could not see what I was saying. By being banned from my Twitter page, I was stopping their First Amendment, and they couldn't see what I was saying. Therefore, they couldn't participate. Yeah. But yet Twitter suspended me for 12 hours. So you know what that really means? That bans everyone from seeing what I had to say. So what? Should this PAC sue Twitter now? Should people sue Twitter because they're banning my voice? You see, it's a hypocrisy.
No.
And these are the things that we can't allow to stand.
I mean, I'm not. I can't really say. Let's just play one more. Can we just do one more of? This is from reporter asking her if she thinks she should resign for spreading so much misinformation.
Do you think that you should resign for misleading people about
Identify yourself after the question.
Jackie Alamany from the Washington Post.
Okay, no, I think that's absurd. I have not misled anyone. I've not put out misinformation. So no, that I would not even consider it.
All right, so there's that one, and she also was talking about the statistics of people who are get sick with hospitalized or die of COVID. That 78% of those people were obese, and even though she didn't mention her source, that the report said that actually 27% were overweight and 50% were obese. Anyway, a reporter asked her, what about the skinny people who are dying? I don't think the reporter worded it very well, but nonetheless, this really outraged people because she laughed about the reporter's question.
Do you feel any responsibility for keeping people in Georgia safe? You know, there are children, skinny people who have died of the coronavirus. Do you feel any responsibility?
Tia, you crack me up. You know what? I think people's responsibility is their own.
Okay. All right. So you don't feel any responsibility for your constituents' health and safety. But this is my favorite Crazy Town Marjorie Taylor Greene Crazy Queen clip. Here it is.
Aaron Navarro, CBS News. Whip Scalise said today he got vaccinated, citing this Delta variant that's going around, and said he's confident that it's safe and effective. Two questions. Have you yourself gotten vaccinated, and do you disagree with the Republican whip?
Well, your first question is a violation of my HIPAA rights. You see, with HIPAA rights, we don't have to reveal our medical records, and that also involves our vaccine records.
No, that doesn't. You have no idea what you're talking. It's simply HIPAA means that other people, entities, your doctor can't share your medical records. It doesn't mean you can't be asked about them by a reporter. That has nothing to do with HIPAA. It's up to you whether or not you want to share any information about any question about your health. But if you're a public official, it's super important right now to go on the record and say that you've been vaccinated, which of course means she's been vaccinated because she didn't want to answer that question, right?
Now it's crazy time.
All right, there you go. That is it for the audio I've got for you, but I do have a whole bunch more headlines I want to share with you in what we call the news dump.
Are you sick of COVID, politics, and Trump? Sit back, because here comes today's news dump.
The OG news dump jingle, isn't it? From Danny Mac. I don't know what happened to Pete Coe. Did I get a news dump? Did I miss it, Pete? Did you die? What's going on? All right, let's get to it. I don't have too many stories for you on today's news dump. Let's start with disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein, who was turned over to officials in California, extradited to California to face sexual assault charges. There was some concern that he wasn't going to be able to, he was going to get out of having to go to California to face these charges. He was acting like he's all old and blind, but nope, Harvey Weinstein. Does it really matter how I pronounce his last name? I wouldn't mean any disrespect. Anyway, he is now in California to face more sexual assault charges. A couple has been charged over the deadly California wildfire sparked by a gender reveal party. A couple whose gender reveal party sparked a Southern California wildfire last year has been charged with involuntary manslaughter for the death of a firefighter who died while fighting the blaze. Don't have gender reveal parties, first of all. Let's start there. Has anybody had a gender reveal party? Reach out to me and let me know. If you've ever attended one, if you had one, defend the gender reveal party. Stand up with Pete at gmail.com, because I'm not seeing it. The Pentagon, this went undercover yesterday, the Pentagon carried out the first airstrike in Somalia under Joe Biden. U.S. military on Tuesday conducted an airstrike against al-Qaeda-affiliated group in Somalia. The first such strike in the country since President Biden took office. according to multiple outlets. So, disappointed, of course, that a lot of people don't even know that happened. America just carrying out airstrikes in foreign countries, regardless of who it's against. You should always know about that. 35 were killed in a market blast in Baghdad, and rockets landed near an Afghan presidential palace during outdoor prayers on the eve of Eid al-Adha. Am I saying it right? Sorry, my Arabic-speaking or Muslim friends. Big story about the spyware companies that software targeted phones and journalists and politicians around the world. I haven't got my head wrapped around that yet and done a deep dive in it. I plan to have a guest on it. It's such an important story. I highly recommend that people look into this. A joint investigation by 17 news outlets, including The Guardian, The Washington Post, found that an Israeli surveillance company, NSO Group's Pegasus software, targeted the phones of journalists, activists, and political figures around the world for foreign governments. A massive data leak shared with the publications by Amnesty International and Forbidden Stories, a Paris-based nonprofit, contained over 50,000 phone numbers gathered since 2016, reportedly including heads of state. So a lot to discuss about this and understand this story, but apparently they can turn your microphone on, they can get into your phone no matter what kind of security you have on it. And so really disconcerting story and development there. A 100-pound tropical fish was found on a beach in Oregon, and you've got to see it to believe it. A large, colorful fish washed ashore on the Oregon coast last week in what aquarium officials are calling a rare occurrence. The 100-pound Opa fish, also known as a moonfish, was discovered on Sunset Beach in Seaside, a city in the northwest side of the state. And it's rare to the Oregon coast, so you got to see the pictures of this. Giant, pretty cool-looking fish. And finally, Netflix is going to be now moving into video games. They're not making enough money with movies. Growth is slowed with their prescriptions, and so now subscriptions they're headed into the video game streaming thing, I guess. I don't know. Can you stream video games? I haven't played a video game in a really long time. No, if you play video games, awesome, more power to you. If that's a hobby, an interest, something you pass the time with, entertain yourself, fine, great, cool. I don't have a system. I'd play at your house if you have one. I'll come over, we'll play video games. All right, that is your news dump, and coming up, I chat with my dad, catch up with my dad, because he called me while I was editing this thing, and we had a funny conversation and arguments about stupid things. And then also, and most importantly, very excited to have Wajahat Ali back on the program. But first, I want to tell you about today's sponsor. And let me ask you a question. Are you looking to hire anybody new at your job, at the firm? Is it difficult to get the right person? Well, when hiring gets hard, you need Indeed. It's the job site that makes hiring incredibly simple, and stand-up listeners have used it and loved it. Just attract, interview, and hire. In fact, with Indeed, you can do all of your hiring in one place, even interviewing. Don't just hope your perfect candidate's going to find you. Indeed's hiring tools help you cut through the noise to hire faster and smarter. In fact, Indeed Instant Match provides a list of quality candidates whose resumes are on the Indeed the moment you post a sponsored job. How about that? You got to find the right person, do the gig, and Indeed.com is going to help you do it. Indeed Instant Match immediately delivers quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description. You can even invite them to apply right away. And according to Indeed data, candidates you invite are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than those who only see it in the search alone. Plus, with Instant Match, Indeed data allows 90% of employers to get quality candidates from Indeed's resume database as soon as they sponsor a job post, according to the Indeed data. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. So join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast, including longtime listener and subscriber, as well as the founder and CEO of Motion City Media in Asbury Park, New Jersey. His name is Frank Zarinsky, and he emailed me and said, Indeed did it again. Just wrapped up an interview with a gentleman named Adam that came to us through a paid Indeed ad. This guy's a total wow and will be perfect fit with Motion City Media is kind, compassionate about film, and we cannot wait to begin working with him. I'll give you an update in a few weeks once he gets into the field. Congratulations, Frank. I'm glad that that Indeed.com/standup is working for you, buddy. That's awesome, and hopefully a lot more of you are using it as well. Get started right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your post at Indeed.com/standup. Get a $75 credit at Indeed.com/standup. Indeed.com/standup. Offer valid through September. Terms and conditions do apply. And thank you guys for working with me. Now it's time to get to my first guest. He is one of my favorites, one of your favorites, and you're going to learn why he hasn't been on in a while. But he's now a columnist over at the Daily Beast. He is a monster on Twitter, where I follow him at Wajahat Ali. He's a senior fellow at the Western State Center and Auburn Seminary. Previously been a New York Times contributing op-ed writer, CNN commentator, and so much more. He's got a new book coming out in January called Go Back to Where You Came From, and other helpful recommendations on how to become American. Ladies and gentlemen, very excited to welcome back to the program Wajahat Ali right now.
Rage! I have so much rage for being left-handed, victimized by Pete's right-handed.
I'm left-handed.
You're a self-hater. It's okay.
You won't allow the narrative to change.
You're one of those.
No.
You who hate himself.
Dude, it's so weird that you think I hate you because of your left-handedness and not that you're a filthy foreigner.
That's true. I feel
even though you're not even. Let's be clear, you're not a foreigner, but you look like one.
I'm filthy. Yeah,
but you are dirty.
Yeah, I always said like my superhero. If I ever had if we were ever superheroes, my superhero skill would be that I always look utterly exhausted and disheveled, even if I've rested and just taken a shower. Like people always come up to me and they go like, "Oh wow, man, yesterday must have been rough." I'm like, "Why? You look
hard day was.
Destroyed."
I just walked out of a spa. I was literally was in a spa and then bumped into you.
I got a 2-hour deep tissue massage.
I've never been more. I won the lottery and got a deep tissue massage and a facial. I've never been more relaxed. Wow.
Yeah, I've never been more happy in my life. They're like, oh God, okay.
Would winning the lottery make you happy?
I don't think so. All the data shows that people who win the lottery, for the most part, they end up more unhappy.
I don't buy that.
10 years. Thing about the thing about winning the lotto is I thought about that because apparently there's some all these people in my local 7-Eleven have been buying tickets the last 3 days, and you see all the folks, most of the folks who get the lottery, in 5 years they say we don't know who our friends are. People became moochers, our wives left us. They end up going bankrupt. I think it's one of those things that was fool's gold for the most part. I don't know if it'll get you happiness, but if you use it wisely, you don't let it to get it to your head. Then I think you and I are at this stage in our life where we could put it in investments and make sure our kids go to college, and then I'd buy some Lego sets and you'd expand your studio.
Don't you have all the Legos?
I don't. Dude, Legos are so expensive.
I know. I was so pathetic when my kids were little and they want to play Legos. And in case people don't know, Waj loves Legos, and so do his kids, and everybody does, really. I hope, unless you hate America, but. They were so expensive. I said on the radio at Sirius, I said, "Oh God, they're so expensive. I just can't justify paying whatever it was, $150." And in the mail, I don't know how they got my address. Someone sent me a gift card to Lego. A listener.
That's loyalty. Yeah. That's listener loyalty. That's amazing.
And I wanted to pay it forward because I thought it was so nice. I was like, you know what? I should give this to somebody else who needs it more than me because I actually can afford Legos, and I sound pathetic for even saying that, but I didn't. I bought my daughter a castle.
Yeah, as you should have. And then you gained husband equity and dad equity for 3 days.
An hour and a half.
Yeah, an hour, 90 minutes. And even your wife is like, "Did you do the dishes?" You're like, "No, you Lego buying."
So there's still Legos out there that you don't have that you aspire to.
Oh, man, it's so... Look, Legos are... It's an evil company because they cater to grown men for the most part. And I think so. I think the reason why they're evil because I'm building a Mos Eisley Cantina set. A kid doesn't know what the F that is, right? It costs $300. I bought it 6 months ago. And so obviously they're catering to us. and say that, so they know. Like, we're going to be like, just you go inside and you see a Batmobile from 1989. You're like, this is amazing. I need this Batmobile. And then you see the price tag and you're like, I'm going to go bankrupt. My wife's going to leave me. And they just keep coming out, like, increasingly, especially during the pandemic, because apparently a lot of people got into Legos and they got into puzzles. They were stuck at home. So they're increasingly pandering to us middle-aged men with wallets. But, I have to be super judicious. So apparently all these amazing things are coming out on August 1st. I can't buy all of them. If I had FU money, I'd buy all of them. But I can't. There's like an Infinity Gauntlet and there's all these Star Wars ships. And I'm like, if I bought all this, my wife would leave me. I'd be
You
bankrupt.
talk a lot about Legos, but I've never actually seen a picture or video of you playing with them or putting them together. I would like to see that. I'd like to see you with your Legos at some point.
I can show you. I show you the completed sets because I think
but we don't know that you did that.
But who else is going to do it in my
I
home?
just want to see you doing it. That's all I'm saying. You're constantly creating an image in my mind of you sitting on the floor and in your pajamas, and I feel like you have like cars on them, like they're little boy pajamas. And
who doesn't have boy pajamas during the pandemic? If you're wearing pants right now, you're failing at life.
I'm not wearing, but I don't actually have adult. I don't think I've ever had adult pajamas.
It's like mangoes. Everyone knows it's mango season. I'm eating mangoes. Do you really need to see me eating a mango?
I do. It's mango season.
You know what happened? You know Piper Perabo? We're so old. So Piper Perabo, great actress, who's also an activist, but she was in Coyote Ugly, right? So here I am. This is how weird my life is. I saw her in Coyote Ugly 20 years ago. I think she'd be okay with me saying that, people of my age group, we found her to be aesthetically pleasing at that age. Yeah, and she's a great activist, and so we're following each other on Twitter. And then she randomly hits me up. She goes, "I love mangoes. Where can I get like these Pakistani mangoes?" So where she is right now in filming, I got a hookup for her. I'm like, she's never gonna go. And then she just sends me a photo with this big ass crate of mangoes, and then sends me like a tweet saying they were so delicious. I love them so much. Thank you. And then she tweets it out, and she goes, "Everybody, find your Pakistani mango dealer. It's a once in a year experience." So this is my life now, man.
That's awesome. And your Piper Perabo impression is perfect. You nailed it.
Yeah, that's exactly how she sounds.
Exactly like that.
Like a masculine 40-year-old Pakistani male.
Probably one of the coolest things that my career has afforded me is that I actually, while at SiriusXM, at first I didn't really interview like a lot of actors and actresses, celebrities, because that wasn't the type of show I was doing. And as the show kind of developed, and they wanted me actually to do that, so fine, I started interviewing more of those type of folks. But I did get to interview all of my childhood like TV crushes, all of them. Winnie Cooper, her name is Danica McKellar.
Who's brilliant, by the way, like a brilliant mathematician.
And really nice. Like she does like this whole thing about teaching kids math and don't fear math, and math can be sexy even, whatever it takes as far as I'm concerned. And like I talked to her off the air about how my daughter was kind of struggling, didn't like it, and she like gave me her number or her email, whatever, and she's like, if she wants to, reach out, which I never did, but it was so genuine. Also, so her, Alyssa Milano, Jewel.
You have like a whole list. That's what people don't realize. Like it's like I just confessed this to my wife. I'm like an actress or a model who I had a crush on follows me, and they direct message me, and I'm very happy. And she just it's like, I'm proud of you. Well done.
Yeah, but it's
well done, sir.
It's the idea that you like had a crush, which a harmless crush on, and that everybody did. They sold that stuff.
Everyone had a crush on Alyssa Milano,
for sure.
right?
And that she now knows that you exist is a massive deal. It is. It just makes you feel.
And they reach out to you, and you're like, "What's happening?"
Well,
and then your wife says, "How come you haven't done the dishes?" And then right then you're brought back to earth.
Hilarious. That's the best marriage right there.
But the best part is, some of these. So it's because we live in a more flattened world where there's access to literally our high school crushes within a direct message, right? And we are someone in the media. It's so interesting because it's so surreal. Like I kind of get used to it, but I'm like, oh wait, Alyssa Milano emailed me, and I emailed her back, and then Piper Perabo is now taking mango suggestions for me, right? Like it's just so strange that how what would seem inconceivable for you and me growing up like pre-internet. Now you can like reach out to someone for better and for worse with a tweet, and they can. And I feel bad for them also, because imagine how many freaks they get, like how many stalkers, how many hate mongers. Not us, of course. We're civilized professionals,
of course. Well, the interesting thing has been how over the last few years, the folks who are kind of cultural and political commentators have gained a type of celebrity status that only actresses and athletes had, to the point where actors and athletes who have now become more involved in that because nobody can sit on the bench anymore. Obviously, some people can. And they now look to people like you. And you have become that. And it's an interesting thing because we've always said we should be celebrating. We shouldn't be celebrating having, actors and athletes and paying them so much money. It should be these people. And someone like you getting that kind of, credit and attention and respect. I think that's great. I think it's fantastic that the world has pivoted on that and that someone like this successful actress looks to you for ideas, advice, leadership, inspiration, which you've been doing for people for the past several years. I think that's great. I love that.
I mean, it's wild, man. The thing is, we've talked about this before, is that, when you did your radio show and you're still doing your podcasts, and I write, and you sit there and you live your domestic life with your wife and your kids, and you go do the dishes and you build your Lego sets, and, you pay the bills, and you sit there and you go, oh, no one knows me, because we don't have delusions of grandeur. Not that we're self-deprecating. I think we are, but we're not like arrogant blowhards, right? You sit there and go, oh, I have no idea if anyone's reading anything. And then you write something, or you put out some product in the world, or a podcast, and you have no idea how many people it reaches, who it influences, who's listening to it, whether it be someone who's a girl in Indonesia trying to find her identity, or like a famous actress that you had a crush on. It's just so, and it never ceases to humble and amaze me. It's remarkable.
It's a great,
because for us, you sit there in your shed. I'm sitting here in my dad's study room that, my kids invade, and you live our life and you have no idea how many people you could touch. And then it comes to that Peter Parker quote, Spider-Man quote, who quotes Voltaire, with great power comes great responsibility, assuming we have any power.
Well, you do. I mean, I think we do. And people in the public sphere and in the conversation, which we both are. And you're by far one of the favorites, and always have been, as long as you've been joining me, of people who listen to the shows that I've done, which brings me to the point that I had ghosted you since you gave me an advance copy of your book. And I ghosted you because I hadn't sat down and read it. And there was literal guilt, probably every day, because I'd see a tweet or article of yours or appearance of yours on TV. And every time I'd see you, I'm like, this is become one of my closer friends. I admire him. Why am I not reading this? And the truth is, because I'm reading constantly, and I hate reading, and I have to, I like listening to stuff because my eyes, here it is. I hate my eyes on a screen. I want to hold the thing. And because my eyes are on a screen so much, I avoid it as much as I can. And I've just felt so bad that I hadn't read the advance. I was so honored that you gave it to me. So I just avoided contacting you because I hadn't read it.
Yeah, I just thought you became racist.
That too, but not towards you. Only towards the ones I don't know.
Oh yeah, the Muslims who you don't know, you're like, I don't
Wait,
like
you're
them.
A Muslim?
No,
No, I like the ones I know.
Yeah, the ones that I don't know, I am terrified of also. I mean, I barely like myself. I asked Sarah, my wife, I'm like, Pete's not inviting me. I think I offended him. Maybe I should reach out to him. And then my wife's like, the more sensible of the two, she goes, I just think he's really busy. And then I'm like, oh yeah, he's probably just really busy.
It's not listen, I've said this obviously privately, and I've said it publicly. I do anything with you. I want to host a show with you. I reached out and said, let's host a show. I love talking to you. You're an amazing guest. It's funny when you think why someone is or isn't doing a thing, and it was legitimately 100%. I had not read this book, which you poured your heart and soul into.
That's
and
wild.
I felt so bad about that I finally just you tweeted something. Somebody tweeted us all, a bunch of us, over the weekend, and you're like, I haven't even talked to Pete. He's whatever, avoiding me. And I was like, yeah, I am. Because I feel like I've let you down. That's why. That's the reason.
Isn't it amazing? You made a good point in the sense that what goes inside in our head with the assumptions that we have about people, why they're reaching out or why they're not reaching out, sometimes is so off the mark. Because out of the 14, if someone said, give me 14 reasons why you think Pete hasn't emailed you, I would have never even thought that. I would have never even thought that it's utter crippling shame. That I'm like, so what about the book that I gave you, Pete, that I only gave 5 people? Like, I can't read.
The easiest thing to do for me now with the podcast is to know who this audience likes regularly. And there's a handful of people that they love, and you're one of them. And then the other thing...
Well done, audience. Good taste.
Well, the other thing is the people who you respect the most, their opinion matters the most. And like one of my very best friends, probably my best friend, David Campbell, who is this big deal down in Australia, hosted a Today Show, singer, performer. He's like, I can't listen every day. My podcast comes out every day. He goes, but I would never, ever miss an episode with Waj. He's simply my favorite. So his opinion matters like the most to me. My wife's, people. And so it's like, no, I'd have you on every goddamn day. But I just felt bad.
David is now my favorite Australian. And I actually know two other Australians.
You know Chris Hemsworth is Australian, right?
Yeah. I don't know him yet.
Would you, though, if you had to? Is he your gay card? He's mine.
I admire his muscles because I saw that photo that apparently was the final shot that they just finished wrapping the newest Thor, and I'm like, dude, how does he get one of his muscles is like as big as me? It's amazing. I was very impressed.
Sexy guy. So
yeah, I would give thumbs up. If my wife left me for Chris Hemsworth, I'd be like, that's understandable.
Well, of course, that's a whole different situation. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, we always can do whatever, but one of the things I definitely know I wanted to ask you is, and I don't mean to make an assumption, but it seems like the hatred and fear of Muslims and brown, like religious people, religious Muslims at least, has changed to some extent. Like there's less of it. There's certainly been less foreign terrorism, hardly any at all in America.
No.
But I wonder what your vantage point is, being a public person, moving through space in America. How are the comments, the threats? Because you sometimes share the hatred, and it's still really ugly, and often it's based on the color of your skin and your religion. But like, what is it? What's happening in your world in terms of the hate that you're feeling? Has it changed at all in the past couple of years?
Picking up on a thread that you brought up just a couple of minutes ago, when people like us, we do what we do in the media, you sit there and you go, I'm just like a dad, and you get surprised when you get the good, but sometimes you get surprised when you get like this avalanche of hate. And for better or worse, I guess it's a compliment that I know I'm doing something right, because I have increasingly become a favorite target of like the Daily Caller and Fox News and their right-wing pundits, right? Like I'm really getting under their skin. And so you could tell a lot about the pulse of the latest racism based on the hate mail that you get. And I get a lot. And so what I've been getting is, still, I get stuff with Muslims, but has a little bit less to do with me being a Muslim and more to do with the skin tone and being the son of immigrants. Because I get hit with a lot of go back, you camel fucker, go back, you piece of shit. But so it's like a mix. It's like a nice bouillabaisse of like Islamophobia and anti-brown racism. But the core of it has always been racism, right? The core of it has always been bigotry, and I think there's still Islamophobia, which I think, if you don't like the word Islamophobia, fine. Anti-Muslim bigotry, I don't care. I have no patience for this type of mental linguistic gymnastics. You can still get away with it, right? The thing is, like, you will not get fired for being an anti-Muslim bigot. You'll get like some slaps on the wrist. It's still very acceptable, even on the left, in my opinion. However, what you have seen is a shift in the sense that since we have seen more, I think, mainstream Muslim representation in politics and in media and in social media and when it comes to characters, right? I think you're seeing more and more people say, oh, there are different types of Muslims. Oh, Ali Velshi is a Muslim. And you see more like Ali Velshi and Fareed Zakaria, who are more secular. They're coming out and they're owning their Musliminess, right? They're like, hey, when you guys are for a Muslim man, a reminder, we're Muslim. And I think, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, like, I think more and more of this coming out has kind of changed perceptions in the past few years. And especially, the thing I'll say is all the stuff that I've been warning about for the past 20 years, there's something positive about the Trump administration in the sense that a lot of people are on the fence. And I'm talking about progressives. Oh, you Muslims, you're always whining. Oh, Muslims, get over it. Oh, we elected Obama. Once they saw Trump and Trumpism and the Muslim ban, they're like, you guys were onto something? Maybe we don't live in a post-racial society.
Why do you think that? What has informed that opinion that people, have shifted as a result of those policies and those attitudes and the election of Trump and everything that came with it. That's interesting.
You saw with the murder of George Floyd, which brought out about 15 to 20 million people on the streets. And you saw a lot of folks who were, those by self-admission, they said, we always thought, there was these racial hustlers and you guys were always talking about political correctness and we voted for Obama. And, we thought you guys were always complaining. But then this made us really wake up and say, these darkies, they're not just whining about police brutality and Islamophobia and, anti-immigrant xenophobia. This is real. And when we saw George Floyd getting choked to death, and when we saw Donald Trump and the rallies and crowds chanting, send her back. Wow, you guys were onto something. And sometimes what happens is you need a crisis. You need something ugly. You need something violent, unfortunately, for people to acknowledge the stench that was there under their nose, but they were privileged enough to
totally
either ignore it or avoid it.
Yep. Yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying.
Happened.
It's like the ubiquity of cameras. Everybody's got a camera, and so you now have videos of these horrible things happening, and then social media is shared. It also can backfire because people become afraid of things that they shouldn't be, like kidnappings and things like that. But right. You see, even with COVID, you can see people literally dying on a ventilator and using FaceTime, and then the election of Trump, and you can see all the ugliness that comes with it. So if you lived in a, as most of us do, in a very self-segregating world, and you only heard people saying, "This is what's happening in our community," you didn't necessarily believe it. A lot of people didn't, and you can't, because then you'd have to beg your lying eyes to tell you the truth. And
that's right. Privilege is often blind to its own power and its own abuses of power, right? We say this, I could say that as a man. And so when you hear women, when you heard women saying, how come there are all these male panels? And, if it's confession, because you're privileged and because that's how things were, you don't even realize the absence or lack. You're like, oh, this is how things were. And then you sit there, and now that you've heard it, it gets inside your head and you're like, oh, wait, that's another mantle. That's another mantle. That's another mantle. And then you go, oh, wow, the women, these aren't just these angry feminists who hate men and always complaining. These are women who are articulating a real problem that I was blind to see because I was so used to a certain narrative and a certain image based upon my privilege, right? Same thing happens when it comes to racism. What are these black people talking about? The police are always good to me. If you just follow their lead and listen to what they say, there won't be a problem. And then you see George Floyd literally being choked to death for 9 minutes as people are surrounding him saying this man's choking to death, and it didn't matter. They still killed him. And I think that type of rude awakening is like, wow, these black folks aren't just complaining. And then when you saw Trump literally do the Muslim ban and say these people come from shithole countries, send her back, they're like, oh, these Muslims. Oh, wait, the war on terror. And then when you see the war on terror, the policies literally come out and spill out in the streets of Portland, Oregon, where suburban whites are being mistreated by the police, where you see people being pushed and shoved to the ground. When it's happening to them, then that's the wake-up call. And it's sad that it takes violence and chaos for people to wake up, but that's been the same thing, man. Look at climate change, Pete. You got climate change activists for decades. The Inconvenient Truth came out 20 years ago? Yeah. Al Gore sitting there in front of his a slideshow. And now finally you got people saying, we should do something about this climate changing.
Still not,
and now might be too late.
Still not enough, and it's too late to ward off some of the most extreme probably circumstances that we're already seeing happening. But that's a great example of it. Your book comes out in January. You've got the cover, you got the art out, huh?
What do you think of the cover?
It looks fantastic. Go back to where you came from and other helpful recommendations on how to become American. It's so great. It's what I read the first 3 pages and I was dying laughing, and then I just lost it because it was a PDF. But I can't wait to get the galley copy and read about it. But what was the pitch?
My agent, poor agent's been waiting for 10 years to write a book. And I'm one of those people who feels like anytime you commit to a long-term project, I need to have a fire, a passion to do it. I don't want to be those, this example. There are comedians who just write books as part of their brand. You know that, their agent says, you haven't written a book yet. And they're like, I'll just write a book. And you could tell the difference between a book that is and a book that really is invested with thought.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I know,
I'm not going to name some names.
Yep.
Yeah, and we both know names. And so this was a book that I'm like, if I do it, I really want to commit to it. And there was something about the pandemic and something about turning 40 and something about like my child's cancer that I felt like this was the moment where I felt inspired to write the story. But the whole, for me, was how do I crack the structure? Because I don't want to be like a navel-gazing memoirist, right? So how do I do it different? And I think the structure that I came up with, which you've read the first couple of pages, you saw the chapters, and I know you dug it, was like kind of this satirical, very sincere, but kind of funny self-help book, like a memoir as a Trojan horse through a self-help book. And you kind of the juxtaposition of go back to where you came from and other helpful recommendations on how to become American, like the slap in the face and the humor, the invitation and the rejection, right? That I thought would be a great vehicle to kind of summarize the feeling of being brown and Muslim, or literally anyone who's seen as an other in their own country, a citizen and a foreigner. A person who's asked to be loyal, but is also seen as a suspect. And how can I convey the dark humor of it all? I thought the title, the cover, and the structure that I chose finally then gave me the vehicle to relate some of these stories and these thoughts, and ultimately, I hope, make it hopeful.
It's even the chapter names are really funny. Invest in hope, but tie your camel first. Elect a Muslim president, but beware of economic anxiety. And avoid jail. What's that one about?
Yeah. That's a story that you're going to find out about my parents who spent time in jail, both of them.
Wow.
And I've shared it. It's fine. People know it, but I've never shared it in depth. So that's a whole story about when you're both us and them growing up privileged in the suburbs, and overnight everything is lost and how everyone turns on you. And my parents, both of them got arrested in this insane thing called Operation Cyberstorm. And for 10 years, they fought the case. And so that was my entire 20s that no one knows about. Wow. And so as I was building my career, my parents were in jail and I was completely broke, but I decided not to share it. Not because of shame, because anytime someone asked me, I would always admit it, but only because I never wanted to use that as an excuse, a personal excuse to stop me from pursuing my goals. Does that make sense? Like you'd be like, my parents are in jail. I'm completely broke. I have no idea what's going to happen. I guess I'm just going to tap out. Instead, I kind of use that saying, even though this is my reality right now, I'm going to go all in and pursue this career. And then I thought maybe one day I'll share the story in a book, and voila, I share the story in the book. And it comes in the middle of the book where there's a pivot where people are kind of lured into this book. They're like, okay, this is really interesting. This is funny. This is kind of different. And then boom, that's kind of hits you right in the middle of the book. And then you kind of see the other side of America, the side of America that no one talks about, the incarcerated, the effects on the incarcerated, poverty, bankruptcy. And hopefully I do that with some humor as well.
You definitely do. I know you do. And now I feel like going right to that chapter and reading it. I want to ask you today about your thoughts on things COVID. Tell folks who don't know about your daughter and how your perspective there matters when it comes to an infectious disease and how you guys are all doing.
So my daughter, for those of you guys who have listened to this podcast, you know she's a stage 4 cancer survivor. She just turned 5 last week, completely healthy. We went and got to the blood test. You know, she's doing fantastic, full liver transplant, but she still might be immunosuppressed. She is immunosuppressed. And so we, like the rest of you with kids under the age of 12, are waiting for the vaccines that hopefully will come out in September. Now, for people who are immunosuppressed or immunocompromised, just not like my kid, but many of you out there, we still don't know if those vaccines will provide the antibodies, right? So knowing that, you go, we have to be super careful. My wife, as you guys know, is a doctor. And so she's been on top of it. She goes, listen, this Delta variant, she's been saying it. It's going to be dangerous. She says people still aren't vaccinated. So that's why we always wear masks. My kids are pros. They wear masks. We avoid indoor packed places because of my daughter, but also because there are breakthroughs. Even though we're vaccinated, which is like, you know, it's doing its job, there's still breakthroughs. You've heard, right? Yeah. Like people who are fully vaccinated, they're still getting dog sick.
It's the kind of thing, by the way, just to, not to interrupt, but it's the kind of thing that you will hear about every single person who is vaccinated and gets COVID. You'll hear about all of them because it's such an aberration, and it's
95%. It's fine, but 5%.
Yeah, but you're going to hear about it a lot because it's the same reason you hear about a plane crashing. Like it's not supposed to happen. So I think that what it does though is it creates, I think, an idea in people's mind that it's happening a lot more than it actually is.
No. And so the flip side on that is what we've seen is as the Delta variant has now spread and cases have increased in 50 states, the COVID is now ravaging those who are unvaccinated. 99% of the deaths and hospitalization is against the unvaccinated. It's literally like biased towards the unvaccinated, which shows you that vaccines work. And the piece that I did that just came out in the Daily Beast a couple of days ago that got a lot of love and hate was talking about Tennessee's policy, how Tennessee, the Republicans in Tennessee, have literally stopped outreach to children, not just for COVID vaccines, ladies and gents, but all vaccines, measles, mumps, hepatitis. And so they've made masks and vaccines, they've weaponized it as part of their culture war, as Delta is literally killing the unvaccinated. I mean, look at what's happening in Missouri. And if you look at really where it's happening, it's these red states, and Republicans are killing their own base to own the libs and hurting kids now to own the base, to rally the base. And that's why we're in a very dangerous situation where I worry, where people say, okay, yeah, let them die. I've heard this a lot now. It's been a year and a half, and if you still want to be stupid, then social Darwinism, do your job. But then for people like me who got unvaccinated kids, like all of us under the age of 12 who are immunosuppressed, it still makes life dangerous, man, when people are unvaccinated in your country. So that's where we are.
And I think that's less of the case, people who are immunosuppressant, of my concern, than the people who are, first responders, healthcare workers, which, well, hopefully they're vaccinated so they're safer than, say, your daughter is. But the bottom line is they're inundated and having to deal with, and there's a huge emotional issue there with sick people who are dying. I mean, like I just heard about, Missouri is one of the states where right. This is happening. There's a specific hospital. Imagine thinking you're over the worst of it as a doctor or nurse. Unfortunately, there's a frighteningly large percentage of them who are not vaccinated. But you think the worst is over, and then it comes back. Like your worst nightmare comes back because people aren't getting vaccinated. I feel bad for those people
and
too.
The anger. I mean, these people were on the front lines. They died. They saw their colleagues dying. I have friends who send me photos of the masks. I mean, the exhaustion. It's like trauma. It's like they literally still have trauma. And to know that we're going to still be facing so much death just because so many people are deliberately misinformed. What gives me like anger is that now today, as we're recording this in the morning, Fox News had a doctor saying, hey, everyone, get vaccinated. Why? Because they just saw the stock market dip due to Delta variant. And that's what made Fox News change its tune, at least in the morning. But meanwhile, all these mother effers, all the hosts are vaccinated. Rupert Murdoch was one of the first people to get vaccinated. And Tucker Carlson, all these people on their show are promoting vaccine hesitancy and disinformation to rally their base. I mean, that's what gets me rage. I'd respect you if you had the courage of your conviction and said, I don't believe in vaccines, I didn't get vaccinated. But all these people got vaccinated and are promoting disinformation. That level of hypocrisy is just, it's exquisite and infuriating at the same time.
Time to talk about your critical race theory piece. You got to go.
No, let's do it.
The right's critical race theory panic is pure projection. You write they're ginning up a fake controversy in order to distract from the GOP's actual endgame of minority rule and a full-throated and violent embrace of white supremacy. This is definitely the thing that has upset me the most. It's come to my town. It's got me thinking about running for some kind of local office to just be the change I want to see, because we need white people and white men, actually, to say the right thing on these issues, and it's terrifying. I mean, they're talking about not teaching. This is bled into everything, just general history, not teaching about Dr. King, not teaching about the civil rights movement, not teaching about
suffrage rights, women's rights. It's
well,
now
I don't
expanded.
think we should teach about women's rights, personally.
Them folks with lady parts.
I think they know. I think they should know
They know their place.
Wait, what are you talking about? They're. I mean, I haven't heard anything like that. They're really saying, like, let's not teach about.
So what you're talking about, right? The most expansive type of ban in Texas, that would mean that if no one wants to teach, like, literally under their definition, you don't have to teach Martin Luther King. You don't have to teach his speeches. You don't have to teach about women's rights. You don't have to teach about the suffragists. That all is included in this huge net that they have now deployed under the guise of fighting CRT to literally rewrite history and embark on a type of Stalinism where they're purging history and purging teaching our history, which is not in sync with what the minority party wants. I mean, that's where we're at, man. That's where Texas is leading us. And Tennessee, again, which is oftentimes a laboratory for the most extreme measures that Republicans want to impart on America, has also been one of the few states to ban CRT. So they're banning CRT, but they do have, by the way, permitless carry as of July 1. So you can carry a gun and kill as many kids as you want, but there's not going to be vaccine outreach to kids. There's going to be banning of CRT. And let's not forget that Tennessee was also the laboratory for the anti-Sharia measures 10 years ago that they tried to, again, mainstream. And the playbook that they used, the right wing used for the anti-Sharia measures, is the exact same playbook that they're using for CRT at a local and national level. And my state, Virginia, right now, Loudoun County, is ground zero for anti-CRT measures. It's happening right now in the schools where the activists are merging with the politicians, are merging with terrified conservative parents, and voila, fast forward a month, it's been successful, and it's going to be a laboratory to literally copy paste in schools all across the country. I swear to
God, if you pronounce laboratory one more time, I'm going to jump through the screen and fight you.
You know what? I always used to say laboratory, but then I friggin' saw some documentary, I think, with some Brits saying laboratory, and it's been stuck in my brain.
It's
so
horrible.
Thank you. 2 points for you.
I'm getting email from people that haven't even heard this yet.
In your brain.
Are offended by your pronunciation.
Because of the microchip that's installed in your head thanks to the
vaccine.
Thanks
to the vaccine. A fifth of Americans believe that. Is that right?
20%,
right?
according to the latest poll, that think that there's going to be a microchip installed by Biden if they take the vaccine, and they heard about it in the smartphone that they use, where they voluntarily expose their location.
Yeah. Well, they don't have, at least to their credit, they don't have 5G phones. They would never use those.
Yeah, they should go back to flip phones.
Oh boy. Well, I mean,
this is dangerous stuff, man. I mean, we laugh about it, but this is.
But it is. Yeah, no. I mean, what you say about Loudoun County being ground zero, I think it's spread. It's everywhere. It's everywhere now. It's really, really terrifying how people are conflating, history with critical race theory, and how the vast majority of high school teachers have no idea what critical race theory is. They teach history.
Can I tell you something that I want to write about this? It's something that you just reminded me. 5 years ago, I was asked to go to a Virginia high school, right? And it was like a private high school, and they asked me just to address the teachers. And we're talking about the rise of Trumpism and racism and Islamophobia. This was like 2016. And one of the teachers raised their hand and said, how will I be able to teach history if a third of my class says, I don't buy that, or my parents don't believe that? How can I be able to teach slavery? How can I talk about civil rights? And I thought about that, and that was so sobering to me. And voila, look, here we are, where teachers literally can't do their job because you'll have about half of the parents say this is CRT.
That's why I think people do really have to do everything they can. And this is, we always talk about what you can do in terms of activism and participation. And, you don't have to run for local office. You should consider it, but you should really not be thinking so much about the national politics picture and really getting involved in your local town. And the thing that I've learned a lot of is there's already organizations. They already exist, and they're not hard to find in your local community of great people wanting to make good changes and just get on board with these already existing organizations that have come up over the past few years. And
that's very important, because every time I've been asked to give a speech the last 4 or 5 years, they always say what to do. I always come up with like a top 10 list. The first thing I always say is local. Everything happens on the local level. There's no reason why you can't be on part of the school board. And if you don't push back and you cede the ground, voila. That's the reason why the anti-Sharia conspiracy, which was complete BS, the anti-Sharia bill, like a problem in search of a solution. What did they say? A solution in search of a problem, right? It might have been just as useful as the anti-Bigfoot or the anti-unicorn bill, but it became a galvanizing force right before the 2010 midterms and the 2012 midterms, led to Islamophobia, led to anti-Sharia bills. The left sat on it, didn't do anything to respond. Voila, CRT, man, they've got a leg up on us. And I think if you don't take this seriously at a local level, they're going to come after all of your teachers. This is what's happening. And I feel like the people who are listening right now, you need to reach out and support your local teachers and your local schools. Like, you need to be there right now and say, we're going to give funding, we're going to show up, we're going to run for office, we're going to do anything that it takes to make sure that we do not have a whitewashing of U.S. history at this moment, where we're also having a racial reckoning.
Great advice. Great to talk to you. Sorry it's been so long. That's 100% on me. Sorry, I was afraid of you.
No, man. Next time, I know how busy you are, so I was not offended at all. I felt bad that I actually asked you to read it, and I'm going to send you a physical copy of the book, and I want you to really let me know if you like it. If you don't like it, let me know also.
Thank you very much, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, there he goes. Wajahat Ali back on the program, and very excited to have him joining us. I hope you like that. Go follow him and let him know you heard him here on the program. Always helpful when you do that. Really appreciate it. I see every mention at Wajahat Ali on Twitter. Read him at the Daily Post. The Daily Beast. What's the Daily Post? Is that a thing? Should be a thing. Sounds like a thing. All right, so anyway, I was editing the program last night when my dad called in to check up on Ava, who is now home from camp sick. Hopefully it'll be better in a couple days. We'll bring her back up there. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just record. Everybody always loves when I chat with my dad. It's like they're listening to themselves talk to their dad. Maybe your dad's gone, and maybe you just love listening to a grown man talk to his grown man father. We always have good conversations on and off the air. Dad's a funny guy, a thoughtful guy, and let's do it. Here it is, Chisel D from last night.
Hello.
Hi. Did you hear?
Hear what?
The news?
Is Val pregnant?
No, I got a vasectomy a long time ago.
Oh, okay. That doesn't mean she can't get pregnant.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay, go on.
True. The news about Jeff Bezos, the billionaire that flew into space.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
I know he's going to fly. Yeah.
He flew into space today.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you see his rocket ship?
No, I didn't really. All I know is that the other guy went up 55 miles. What's his name?
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson went up 55 miles, and Bezos was going to go up 66 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's whatever. Yeah.
Well,
what?
The rocket that Bezos flew in is looks exactly like a dick.
Like what?
A dick.
Well, it's rocket ships have been looking like dicks for a long time.
Yeah, but I mean, this one's got a tip on it and everything. Everybody's been talking about it all day. That this rocket ship looks
like a dick.
Yeah.
Well, just think about it. I mean, a dick would be a very aerodynamic.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, I think it's just. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. But let me just show you. So I showed a picture of it to your granddaughter Ava, and I said, "Did you hear about the ship? It looks just like a dick."
So that to your daughter.
Yeah,
okay.
and she said, everybody's been making jokes about it all day, on Twitter and stuff. And she said, no, I hadn't seen the picture yet, and I showed it to her, and she looked at it, and she said, "Huh, I would have thought it would have had more balls."
Ava said that?
Yes.
Oh boy!
I just texted you a picture of it. Can you look at your phone and just give us a reaction? And if you think that looks like a dick, or like a lot like it's not like the old school rocket ships, the Apollos and all that. This is.
Well, can't you text it to me?
Yeah, look at your text.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. Jesus! It looks like a dick with a big head and small balls.
Yep. Yep.
It does look like a dick. Wow.
Well, I want to get your reaction to a couple other stories.
Did anybody know what this thing looked like before? I mean, why are they just noticing it now?
Well, you know how it lands. The head of it comes off, and then just parachutes.
For the climax ending, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, the head comes right off.
Do you think, first of all, I said on Twitter, and I want to know what you think, ethically, morally, I said, no one person should have $1 billion. Fight me. That's what I wrote. You agree?
I don't care.
You don't care. You don't have an opinion on whether or not one person should be able to have $1 billion.
I mean, we should have a law against it.
Sure. We got a minimum wage. Maximum wage.
Maximum value. That's interesting. If you get to have $1 billion, you can't have it. So you build yourself an empire, and your thing is that I'm just going to keep building it and do lots of good stuff with it. But I can't have it. Or I've got $1 billion, and with my $1 billion, I'm going to open up another plant and make cars with it and batteries with it, and I'm going to have thousands and thousands of jobs. And those thousands and thousands of people are going to be very well taken care of, and I'm going to make more billions. But I can't have those billions, so why should I bother open up that big factory with thousands of jobs?
Guy's a real billionaire defender over here.
I'm not defending him, but I'm saying
I can't wait to read your new book, In Defense of Billionaires.
That is real world stuff.
It's not. Come on, listen. The real world is Bezos doesn't pay his people shit. That's the whole point.
What about Tesla?
A different argument for that, meaning you don't get to have $1 billion to do whatever you want with. That's great if you go and you build electric cars. Great, but no one's making you do that. So a lot of people that have that kind of money don't do anything good with it, right? They buy off politicians. There's no mandate for it. That's why if you make that kind of money, you should have to pay a lot of taxes on it, and then we all get to decide where that money gets distributed and how it gets distributed.
Well, if it's just taxes, we don't get to say anything about it.
Yeah, we do. There's no better system.
No, we don't. No.
What do you mean? We elect people who decide how our budget is spent. You do in Syracuse. That's what you do in Syracuse.
I'll tell you what. I will defend billionaires before I'll defend our legislatures.
Oh, wow. This guy over here.
I think we are in a standstill in this country like
No, Syracuse.
Like
no, your
before.
town. Syracuse. Any town you want.
I'm not talking about Syracuse.
No, I'm talking about Syracuse. I'm saying that you decide. You can't have one guy in Syracuse have a ton of wealth and then he just gets to hoard it and not distribute it in the community to make the community better. The community decides, hey, listen, everybody here has to pay taxes to go into the teachers and the fire department and everything else, or whatever we want. Whatever we want in our community, we get to decide. We elect people who decide how that money, our tax money, our revenue is going to be distributed.
What was your other thing you want to ask me? Because we could argue about that all night.
I don't think we can.
They're going to tear down Route 81, and they spent 10 years studying it. 10 years. So it's going to take 5 years. 5 years to rebuild what they want to build. That's 15 years.
Well, when they studied it, did they
1.2 miles of highway.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
So yeah, our legislators are doing a terrific job. All right, what's your next?
You don't like that? You're talking about the local Syracuse legislators decided?
No. That's state, federal.
Did you hear about the guy?
And by the way, the city and county officials, what they wanted to do, they just didn't listen to them. So no, we're going to do it this way. Go on. What's next?
I don't know anything about that story.
Well, I do.
Okay, so the next story is that there's a lot of people that are still not getting vaccinated.
Yeah, right. I know half of them, I think.
Oh, really? Do you ever talk to anybody about it? Do you ever
everybody?
You have conversations with people that have not gotten vaccinated?
Yeah.
Like who? Without naming a name, maybe. Like, tell me about a conversation you have. How do you handle that? I have not had that. Honestly, I've not had one person that I know.
Well, first of all, I ask everybody if they're. I work at the track, different tracks, and I ask my students and the people I'm dealing with, have you been vaccinated? And they tell me yes or no. In fact, the best one was, I'm sitting across the table from a guy who's a new driver, and I looked at the guy and I says, I said to him, are you vaccinated? And the guy looked at me and says, I'm a physician. That was his answer. I'm a physician. In other words, all doctors are getting vaccinated. I've asked all my doctors and all the doctors that I know, do you know of any doctor who's not vaccinated? The answer is no. And then I talked to, for instance, my physical therapist, okay? Well, I'm a wait and see. I said, you're a wait and see? Well, she's got 2 little kids.
How long ago was that?
How what?
How long ago was the physical therapist? Did she say I'm going to wait and see?
2 months ago is when she said it. She still hasn't gotten vaccinated.
Oh, really?
Oh, no. No.
The American Medical Association says about 96% of doctors surveyed are vaccinated. 96.
Yeah. I'm surprised they found 4%.
Well, a lot of bad doctors out there. Yeah. So okay. That's so what do you say to her? You said it was her, your physical therapist?
But what can I say?
I don't know. You could say I want another physical therapist who's not going to be.
Well, I'm not going there anymore. I'm going to go maybe one more visit, and that's it. So I'm in the gym, and the woman that's running the place, I said to her, she's in her 40s. She's got a little kid. I said, are you vaccinated? She said, no. I said, well, why aren't you getting vaccinated? Well, it's my choice. So what do you mean it's your choice? We have a freedom of choice, and I've chosen not to get vaccinated. That's all. The other answer is like all of our relatives in one family, the extended family, none of them have gotten vaccinated. Yeah, none of them.
Someone told you that?
Yes, and none of them have gotten vaccinated.
You're talking about our family?
Our family.
Us?
Yes. Us. You and me, our family, your cousins, my family, yes. Your cousins. An entire, on my side of the family, not your mother's side, on my side
are unvaccinated?
On the entire clan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No. 100% all of them, no vaccination.
Oh, dear, I didn't know
now,
that.
Here's the
what
next
did you
thing
say to them?
I'm not saying anything to them.
Oh.
I just found this out, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to see any of them. I'm making a conscious point to not deal with people who are not vaccinated because I'm going to go off on them. So I'm just staying away from them.
Oh, well, that's smart.
I ask everybody, are you vaccinated? If they say no, I go, okay. And I just walk away. I mean, if I don't, but then I've heard, here's another one. I have an acupuncturist. I don't go to him anymore. And I said,
what happened there? You guys going to fight?
No. Oh. I said to him, are you vaccinated? He says, well, in my family, he's an acupuncturist. This guy knows every nerve and how it works in your body. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Young guy. He's a young guy, by the way. He's like, maybe he's 40, not even 40. And he's a single guy, very bright. And I said, no. He says, well, in my family, we have an immune deficiency problem, and there's MS in my family. That's why I'm not getting vaccinated.
What?
Yeah, that's what he told me.
The hell's that? By the way, if you say, I think it's hilarious and awesome that you ask people if they're vaccinated. And I don't even think I've really done that much. I guess I just assume it. I guess I mostly assume it, but I shouldn't. But
no.
But if you say to somebody, hey, are you vaccinated? And they say, like you said this guy did, if they start with, well, the answer is, if someone's gotten vaccinated and you ask them, the answer is always yes. There's no beating around the bush, right? Yeah. Yeah, of course.
No, a lot of people say no.
Wow.
I mean, they'll just say no, and then I ask them, why? Why wouldn't you? I'm just curious. Why wouldn't you do it?
Any of your friends around your age? People around your age? Not
my age?
Yeah, anybody around your age.
I don't know anybody my age. Well, we were at dinner last. There was a bunch of us got together. There were, I think, 12 of us. Everybody there was vaccinated.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, and everybody, but they're all younger than me, of course. But they're all like just snickering over people who don't get vaccinated. Because, well, here's the next thing. And this is what I will say. That's why I'm staying away from people who aren't vaccinated. Because it's like, okay, you have a kid. I hope you don't kill him.
Yeah. You can say that's a gun, like people who have like guns in their house sometimes too,
Yeah. Well,
I mean, not like a hunter who's got the gun, locked up, but even so, I see all these kids getting shot by accident.
This is Russian roulette that people are playing.
For sure.
It truly is.
But yeah, with this new variant.
I was talking to Aunt Julie tonight,
mm-hmm.
and she said that there's a nursing home I can't think of the name of the town. I think it's in Eugene or California. It's either in Oregon or California. That only 5% of the help is vaccinated in a nursing home.
That's crazy. They shouldn't allow them to work there. They're going to make it.
Oh no! In Long Island, okay.
Well, it's Long Island. Whatever you're going to say.
25% of the people in nursing homes are not vaccinated in one area, in one town. Of the people said, "What are they? You're 75 years old. You live in a nursing home. What are you worried about? The long-term effects?
Pregnancy could have an effect on your pregnancy."
The only person that I know who I can understand why she's not getting vaccinated is your cousin Lisa. I get that. Her allergies are she would become violently ill, having nothing to do with COVID. It's just that her blood can't handle what's in the serum.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
What am I talking about?
I don't know. I've never heard such a thing.
You know that she has a violent allergy to corn and gluten. Did you know that?
Yeah, well, a lot of people do.
Not like her.
Well, yeah, but
no.
Is there any? Yeah, but have you ever heard of? I'm gonna have to look that up.
Let me put it this way.
I've never heard of anybody.
What?
It sounds crazy to not get vaccinated if you're her.
Well, let me give you an example of how allergic she is. You know that if they give you a saline drip.
I don't. Yeah, but I don't. That doesn't matter if she's allergic to anything. I don't think
she can't take a saline drip because it has like 0.00001 corn in it. Okay, she is violently.
What does that have to do with COVID vaccine?
The point because there's something in the vaccine that her body cannot handle.
Her doctor tell her not to?
Oh, everybody who knows her now is telling her not to. Yeah. Oh no, but the only point I'm trying to make is she's the only person I know that has a really, truly legitimate reason for not getting the vaccine.
Well, I don't even know. I don't know if that's a legitimate reason. Is all I'm saying.
Well, you wouldn't say that, but I mean.
Well, I would ask people who know such things.
What are you talking about?
I don't know anything about it, so I've never heard anything like this. You'd think you'd hear this. Well, people who have allergies to certain things can't get.
No. You don't understand. Her allergies are so.
Yeah, but that's not but she's not alone. She's not the only person that has severe allergic reactions to certain things.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying I haven't heard.
What was your next thing?
We've
gone over the dick. Gone over
Dick Rocket.
Yeah.
Let's keep it in context here. Well, did you hear that Trump's inaugural coordinator, the chair of his inaugural committee, very wealthy man, guy named Tom Barrack, he got arrested today. You know what the charges were?
I have no idea.
He was working. He was the inaugural committee chair, no small job, in charge of the inauguration. And
which one, the 2020 or the 2016?
Well, was only inaugurated once. He lost.
So we're still waiting to see that. So this Tom Barrack may still have a job.
He may return.
Mike the Pillow Man.
The Pillow Man
is going to tell us what's going on with China.
That's supposed. Yeah. So this guy's the chair of the former inaugural committee, and he's been arrested on charges alleging that he conspired to influence Trump foreign policy positions to benefit a foreign country. The country was the United Arab Emirates. He was a foreign agent working for the United Arab Emirates while also an advisor to the President of the United States. And he did all kinds of favors for the UAE, including inserting, stuff into speeches that Trump then went and said.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, pretty big deal.
Wow. Yeah, well, he'll get away with it probably. Hey, they gave a guy, the first guy to got from January 6th, he got 8 months jail.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
The recommendation was 18 months.
Yep.
The judge gave him 8 months. Oh, that's right. It was on your podcast.
Well, everybody
also.
was reacting to that based on like sentences that people have gotten for far less of a thing, you know? Like,
well,
really?
I remember, I like what you said about Cheech and Chong.
Oh, Tommy Chung got like 9 months for selling bongs.
Yeah.
Well, that was what he said. Yeah.
He got 9 months for selling bongs, and this guy ran the White House and got 8 months.
So another story is that Florida, back to the vaccines, Florida, you know, the crazy state there, they said all the cruise ships, a lot of cruise ships leave from Florida, right? Probably most of them in the U.S., I don't know. And so the Florida legislature, led by the craziest of the Republicans and their governor there, they said cruise ship companies, they made a law, were not allowed to mandate that passengers get vaccines.
Right.
And so the cruise ships went along with it for a minute, and now they're suing Florida. Like, you can't. Yeah. We gotta be able to control who gets on the boat. It's a boat. Yeah. It's a ship.
Yeah.
If somebody gets a stomach bug and everybody's shitting their pants, we can't have COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are you on cruise ships?
Down. The world is upside down.
Where are you on cruise ships?
Yeah. Where am I on cruise ships?
Yeah. What do you think of cruise?
Oh, I can't even get on one. I would get sick.
Oh, that's right. You got sick on a Champlain Lake ferry.
Yeah. I would love to go on a cruise ship, but in Alaska, I'd like to go on a cruise ship in Alaska. That's where I would want to go. There's something about the North Pacific that when the waves get high, you might get a little seasick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got.
So is that why I called you?
No. I'll press stop on the recording.
Oh, you recorded?
He knew I was recording. All right, I hit stop. He knew I was recording it. Don't you worry. I would never record somebody and not tell them. I don't do that. So there you go. Thank you very much for joining us today. Greatly appreciate your support, your subscription. Hope to see you Thursday night at the Hangout, Monday night in Boston with JL Covan. And thanks to my sponsor, Indeed.com/standup. Go check them out. Go click on that. Just go put that in your browser, and it'll help me. I'll get the stats for it. It always looks good. And then I can use that money to invest back in this show. Make it bigger, make it better. Doing all kinds of good stuff with it. Can't do it without, of course, mainly your subscription. So Patreon.com/Pete Dominic now. For this daily podcast. Tell your friends, and know you're not alone. You can always hang out with us if you're a member on the Discord platform 24/7. It's always a conversation going on there. I pop in there all the time, and people are chit-chatting away, and I love it. Never feel alone in this case. All right, that's it. And now it's time for our good friend, John Carroll, who I'll see in Boston on Monday night. Can't wait to meet him in person to sing us out. Take it away, John.
Trees, you got to stand up. Hey, you've been sitting so long, you got the creaky knees, you got to stand up. Stand up. I think your driving wheels been leaking grease. Boy, you better stand up. Stand up. Well, there's a whole lot more of us who know what's right. They'll keep right on ignoring us if we keep sitting tight. You got to open up the window to let in some light. You gotta stand up. That's right. You got to rise up. You got to stand up. You got to stare the devil straight in the eye. You got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear when all you hear is a lie. So get up off of your butt, get down off of your fence. And even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense. And you stand up, stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town. Just stand up, stand up. You know they can't deny you what you're laying down. Boy, you better stand up, stand up. Show your face of every color, yellow, black, red, and brown. She's the place where every lost child will finally be found. There's only one thing to do before we stand our ground, and that's stand up, stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up, they had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of stand up. But all they had to go and all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see them flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. Alright, we got to speak up, we got to reach up and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show